Hey you and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, we're gonna look at the disappearance of Sarah Stern and the admissions and case of Liam McAtasney. Big YouTube fan Sarah Stern went missing in December 2016 in New Jersey, and after a massive search to find her, well, didn't someone finally open up to the police about what really happened to her? Someone else also opened up, but it wasn't to the police, but it was recorded, so look forward to that. Sarah Stern was born in 1997, growing up in Neptune City, New Jersey. She graduated from Neptune High School, where she played softball and was on the swim team. Growing up, she was friends with Liam McAtasney and Preston Taylor, best mates since they were all young'uns, even calling their little friend group the Squad. So watch out. And they all went to the same high school. Preston and Sarah even attended prom together. Late in 2016, Sarah was actually planning on moving to Canada with Liam. And Liam even had Sarah under the family section in Facebook. Boom, she was there. That's how close they were. Now Sarah, she was a bit of a travel bug. Is that what you call it? She always talked about moving places, but she never actually did. So her friends didn't necessarily believe that she would go to Canada, but she was known to be a lovely, content person. A happy-go-lucky girl who would talk to anyone. Two of Sarah's big loves were YouTube and drawing. 19-year-old Sarah Stern disappeared from Neptune City on December 3rd, 2016.
911, where's the emergency?
Yeah, not emergency. Actually on the Belmar Bridge, right after heading south in the middle of the bridge, there's a car that's abandoned. It's off to the side of the road, but...
The Belmar Bridge being the 35 bridge?
Yeah, the 35 bridge would be going from north going south. I'm driving Uber and Lyft tonight, so I just figured I'd give a call in, because it's kind of hard to see, I think, if you're coming the other way.
And was there anybody inside the vehicle?
I looked, no.
Okay.
Unless they were sleeping. I couldn't see them by their head being up. Nobody looked like they were in it.
All right.
Her car was found in the wee hours of that day. Key still in the ignition, but no Sarah. A massive search began. Now, her car was found on a bridge, so maybe she jumped. That was people's first thought. The car hadn't been broken into, there were no signs of a struggle or anything like that, so whatever she did she do it to herself? Divers went into the drink, had a goo around, and found nothing. The Shark River that runs below Belmar Bridge, where her car was found, is a fast-flowing one. They thought if she somehow entered the water, it would be unlikely she'd still be there.
In addition to the search effort that will be going on tomorrow that Sarah's cousins are heading, the Monmouth County Crime Stoppers is now offering $5,000 for any information regarding Sarah's disappearance. The Monmouth County Crime Stoppers has also released this flyer with information on her disappearance. Sarah is described as a white female about 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighing around 130 pounds, with a medium complexion, long dark brown hair, and hazel eyes. Sarah's father, Michael Stern, has told media outlets that he hopes around 200 people will volunteer tomorrow, despite the cold weather that we are expected to have. Now, he's also said that he's confused, he's concerned, and he's at his wit's end, and he hopes that the search tomorrow will bring some answers as to where Sarah is.
Searching, well, practically everywhere, the authorities still had no clue as to what the hell happened to her. Pleas went out, but remained unanswered.
That Friday night, the best we can determine is approximately 11:30 to 11:40. So that's the last time that there's any kind of recording or that anybody had seen her. We haven't heard that anybody saw her after that. And we just don't know what happened after that. coming out of the Shark River Marina area in Belmar and Avon, Shark River Hills and Neptune City, that area, and I think part of Wall Township too. So it encompasses a big area. It's a big stretch of water, and we're just trying to get as many people out there as possible to just see if we can uncover anything.
And old buddies Liam and Preston, they were, so concerned about what could have happened to Sarah, volunteering in the searches for her, doing everything they could to find her. Liam, he initially supported the suicide idea and also the idea that she just ran off. Telling police that, I think she loves Canada. She always talks about moving to Canada. And she had, on multiple times in her Twitter account, made references about moving there and how much she loved Toronto. Sarah had attempted to take her life once before. Police said Liam told them. Her mother had died from cancer a few years earlier, and she'd been arguing with her father recently.
I know that her dad's taken money from her in the past. I think her mom was supposed to leave her money or something. I know she definitely has a lot of trust issues with her dad, so I've just been trying to help her out with that. She has had a tendency to have self-destructive, suicidal behavior.
I know Sarah, first grade. I would say we're pretty close friends. When did you last see Sarah? When I was leaving her house to go to work. When was that? Sometime before 4:45. What day? Wednesday, Friday. And why do you say before 4:45? That's the time I had to be at work. You haven't told us about the bank. How come you haven't told us about the bank? Well, I told him about... Did you go to the bank? I was with her. Okay. That's the way back from Taco Bell. Why did she stop at the bank? What did she tell you she was stopping at the bank for? Something to do with her money. I don't know. She had found money in Avon House a few months ago. And, she has a lockbox full of money in there. I don't know. She was taking money out, putting money in there. A lockbox full of money where? In Carney Bank. Over the past few weeks, she's been just packaging things up in containers and moving them to other people's houses. Do you think her behavior was odd? Yeah. I didn't think it at first, but she's always wanted to go to Canada. One thing I want to talk to you guys about was if she did jump off the bridge, what are the odds that she's not somewhere all the way out in the ocean by now? And did she tell you she was going to jump off the bridge? No.
So it seemed like the two most likely things at this time were she jumped into the water or she ran away to Canada. Who knows? Neither of those things are true. The last time Sarah was seen alive was the day before, December 2nd, with Liam when they had ran, errands together. So Liam was the last person to see her, and he definitely was the last person to see her alive. And now we meet Anthony Curry, a good buddy of Liam's. They had attended high school also together. They bonded over movies, both being huge film buffs. And just a few weeks before Sarah disappeared, Liam told Anthony a story. He said that he had an idea to kill this girl, a girl, that he would strangle her and throw her off a bridge. What a fanciful, fictitious idea. And Anthony didn't think much more of it, even after Sarah Stern disappeared from a bridge. And even when Liam would contact him on Snapchat asking if the police had contacted him. Hey, police contacting you at all? Know anything? Buddy? One part about this I like is that he was sending messages over Snapchat, because it deletes them. And then he did something just really stupid. So the police hadn't actually contacted Anthony yet, but he was becoming curious about Liam, let's just say. And toward the end of January, now, Sarah's been missing over a month, almost 2, Anthony went to the police and told them about the story Liam had told him about strangling somebody and throwing them off a bridge. That was, at Thanksgiving before Liam had told Anthony that story. The police then set up Anthony with a recording device. You have to see, Liam, got any other good stories? Got any other good ones?
You can't blame me for doing this, right? I gotta feel you up real quick, alright? No disrespect. I'll show you. No disrespect, okay? Look. Yeah, I got the FBI in my ass, dude. What are they questioning? Oh, yeah, a lot. Sarah's whole deal was my thing. But I had planned Sarah's situation for me to be interrogated by cops. Like, that was part of my plan, to make me look not guilty. Like, what did you finish? You didn't hear that? It was all over the news. No, but I didn't know if you, Yeah. And the worst part is, we threw her off the bridge, and the body never showed up. It's probably frozen. It's probably all the way out in the ocean. Listen, I'm not gonna let Preston do anything dumb. I did something really dumb, and I planned it out for half a year. I have patience.
And on February 1st, 2017, almost 2 months since Sarah went missing, the case took another sudden turn.
Did he have you go to her house and move her before he got home from work? I see you're shaking your head. What does that mean?
Yes.
Okay. What did he ask you?
Yeah, mainly he wanted me to look for his phone because he dropped it.
He dropped his what?
His phone.
His phone. All right, so you helped him lift her and throw her over the bridge? Okay. Was that hard to do, physically, to get her over the bridge? Did you guys know when she hit the water? Did you hear anything or see anything? No? All right. And then what happened after that?
We got in my car and drove down, turned around, and back to our house.
Preston Taylor confessed to the police, and both him and Liam McAtasney were arrested. Preston told them that on the night of December 2nd, 2016, he helped his friend Liam throw Sarah's body off the bridge and into the dark waters below. See, what happened was that earlier that day, Liam went to Sarah's house while she was alone, her dad was out of town, and strangled Sarah for about 30 minutes.
Dude. Alright, so I'm hanging out with her. She has, we went to the bank, she took some money out, not all of her money. We're counting it out, and then she goes to walk out the front door. I choke her out, drag her. My biggest problem was the dog, and her dog laid there and watched as I killed her. Didn't do anything. Nobody was there? No, nobody was there. Even her dad wasn't there. He was in Florida. Yeah, you said that he was there. Yeah. So, I have to leave. I dropped my phone at Sarah's house. My phone was at Sarah's house. Wait, you left your phone? Yeah, I lost it. I couldn't find it. I had to go to work. I had timed everything out. You left it in your pocket? Dude. What were you doing? Strangling someone. I pretty much hung her, I picked her up and had her just, dangling off the ground, and she just pissed herself, and said my name, and then that was it. And it took me a half an hour to kill her. I thought I was going to be able to choke her out and have her out in, a couple minutes. I choked her out, and then she was just laying there having a seizure or something. So then I got a shirt and I just shoved it down her throat so she wouldn't throw up or anything, and held my finger over her nose and set a timer. And it took me a half an hour after I hit start. This is the thing about, heists. There's so much that you can't account for. You don't know. Yeah. You don't know until it happens. And the next month was just me getting interrogated by cops over and over and over again.
That's all over now, though. I think everything's over. I don't feel any different, and I don't think about it. You always think you're going to try these new things, and you're going to change. But it didn't change. It just doesn't do anything.
He then stole about $7,000 from her. So, which was the motive? See, when Sarah's mother died a couple of years previous, she left Sarah a shitload of money, which Liam just happened to find out about. However, as we can see here on the recording, Liam thought it was a hell of a lot more than $7,000. He thought it was closer to $100,000. Bet he was pissed.
The worst part of it is, I thought I was walking out 50 grand, 100 grand in my pocket. She had one safe, and she took money out, and she only had 10 grand. And this money, I don't know if it was burnt or something. Old money, terrible quality. I don't even know if I could put any of it in the bank. It looks sketchy, and it looked like it's Sarah's money, especially if it's a federal investigation. But if they're looking for the guy who has the old money, spent a lot of money, and I didn't even get a quarter of it. So we're around, what, 7 million? Somewhere around there. You spent it all? No, I didn't even try to do anything with it because it's in such bad shape. Like, I need to play low and then maybe like tape some up and see if I can put it in the bank. So where do you have it hidden? Yeah. Where'd you hide it? Sandy Hook. First it was in my house for a long time, but then I stopped trusting Preston.
After he murdered Sarah, he called Preston, begging him to come over because he thought he might have lost his phone somewhere in Sarah's house. And then he asked Preston to help him get rid of the body. Preston went over and helped Liam move Sarah's body under a bush near her home till it got dark that night. Then, 8 hours later, they took Sarah out, put her in the passenger seat of Sarah's own car, and Liam got in the car and drove, Preston following Liam in his own vehicle. And then they got to Belmar Bridge. Then Liam got into Preston's car. They drove off, leaving Sarah's car there, where it would be discovered just a few short hours later. Obviously, it's on a bridge. See, the reason they kind of did all that is that Liam had been studying Sarah's movements, especially how she drove to and from her home, for months. So that, when he had it all planned out, so that when he took her car on the, surveillance footage, it would just look like she was driving herself, like he practiced how she drove her car. I don't know how, but, weird.
Get into her car, and I back up. There's a security camera across the street. So I had to act like her. I watched her every time she backed out. She does the same thing. So I backed out exactly like she did and drove off. In the trunk? No, put her in the passenger seat of her own car. And I had her buckled in the passenger, so she looks like she's just sleeping. She's just sitting up.
And so that's quite a lot of shit the police have. Although Liam would deny confessing in that recorded video. Yeah, he said, I thought I was auditioning for a movie. I thought I was an audition. Give this guy an Oscar.
This is dashcam video of when police found 19-year-old Sarah Stern's car abandoned on the Route 35 bridge in Belmar, where prosecutors say her friends, Liam McAtasney and Preston Taylor, left it after disposing of her body.
He even so much as demonstrated how he lifted her up off of the ground, then left her on the floor and watched her die for 30 minutes. He knew exactly how long it was because he chose to time that.
Today, McAtasney was back in court, dressed in a yellow jumpsuit, charged in the murder of his former classmate. Prosecutors say he was not only the mastermind, plotting for weeks. Investigators even set up a video recording where he told his friend, also the state's key witness, identified as AC, every detail. McAtasney is accused of strangling Stern during a robbery at her Neptune City home in December. McAtasney's defense attorney says his client completely denies the allegations, saying the three were best friends, all growing up within blocks of each other here in Neptune City.
Prosecutors alleged that Liam had been planning on murdering Sarah for months before, he did. And he had actually let Preston in on his little scheme. Again, he thought he was going to be rich out of this when he wasn't. Preston pled guilty to first-degree robbery, second-degree conspiracy to commit robbery, and second-degree disturbing or desecrating human remains, and agreed to testify against Liam at trial in April 2017. Preston actually agreed to go back to Sarah's house and show the authorities exactly what had happened.
Arms under her shoulders like this.
Okay. So were her feet dragging on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I carried her over here. Dragged her over here and kind of sat her under the bushes right here.
These are the bushes that you placed Sarah in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
yes.
how did you position her when you brought her out here?
She was just laying on her side like this.
Okay. Which direction was her face?
Facing outward.
Okay.
And with her feet down here and her head up here. When I entered...
When you entered, were the lights on in the house or were they off?
The lights back here were off, but the kitchen and the living room lights were on.
Okay.
And this door was closed. This one I couldn't get open, but I was able to push this one open, enter, and Sarah was slumped in this corner right here.
Okay. And again,
behind this door.
He also told them the location of two buried safe boxes, one in Sandy Hook containing about $7,000 and another in Shark River Park containing Sarah's clothing. Preston Taylor would later be sentenced to 18 years in prison. Liam maintained his not guilty plea and went to trial in January 2019. It's ballsy to go with not guilty after all that.
My client indicates he has nothing to do with this, and he really hopes that the girl's alive. There is a videotape statement that the prosecutor talked about. It's unusual in the sense that both boys, Preston and my client, seem to be talking like they're going out to lunch or something. It's like it's some story that they made up.
He says the recording seems scripted, and the plot thickens. He went on to suggest that Stern may have run away or committed suicide. Her body has yet to be recovered, but Stern's family is having none of that.
To imagine something like this is just unfathomable.
McAtasney and Taylor participated in a search party for Stern. Authorities say they admitted doing so to deflect suspicion.
Liam had planned the murder for 6 months after he first heard about the money Sarah had. At the start, Liam, who was the ringleader, him and Preston only planned on robbing her, but then decided killing her would be the easiest way to get her dineros.
Was there a point in time in 2016 where you learned something about Sarah Stern and her coming into something?
Yeah, I learned that she found a shoebox full of money at her house in Avon.
Did you ask any questions about that money when you first learned about it?
I asked how much it was, and I was told that it was in the range of about $100,000.
After first learning about that box of money or that money, $100,000, whatever it was, did that money ever come up on previous or prior occasions in the future?
It did.
Okay. And how did that happen? What types of conversations did you have about it?
Well, at first we started discussing the fact that it was a lot of money and what we would do if we had that type of money. And then the conversation evolved into, well, what if we did have that type of money, specifically her money? And that was when the idea to rob her came about.
Okay.
And he brought up the money, passed the comment that it was the type of money that somebody would kill for.
At one point, the trial nearly went to shit after a juror posted on Facebook, Sitting on the jury, LMAO. Liam's lawyer insisted a mistrial be declared, but the judge threw out that request and proceedings continued. In Liam's defense, the lawyer questioned whether Sarah was even dead at all. After all, no body was ever found. Liam's lawyer even called witnesses who said they saw Sarah hours after she had been killed, according to the prosecution. Among them was a witness who testified that he saw Sarah walking down the street at 5 a.m. on December 3rd, which would have been after the time prosecutors say she was killed. He added that later he saw a disabled car on a bridge down the road. However, investigators said the car in question had been towed from the bridge hours earlier. The car had already been found, by 5 a.m. So his testimony was bullshit. Liam was found guilty on all 7 counts against him, which included first-degree murder, conspiracy, desecrating human remains, tampering with evidence, and more, in February 2019. In June 2019, Liam McAtasney was sentenced to life in prison. As always, no parole.
Sentencing in the matter of State of New Jersey versus Liam McAtasney. Mr. McAtasney is now 21 years old. He lived in Neptune City. Everyone essentially in almost all of the family members that testified came from this small community of Neptune City. They all knew each other. That's what makes this really a heinous event, that these were 2 people, meaning Sarah and Liam, that knew each other since, I believe, grammar school. So on count 1, murder in the first degree, it's life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Count 2 is robbery in the first degree. This sentence will run concurrently, meaning at the same time. It's 20 years New Jersey State Prison. And count 5, desecrating human remains, is second degree. So that's 10 years consecutive to the other counts, to count 1 especially.
And, as I said, after all that, Sarah Stern's body has never been found.
It was better with Sarah being missing, and maybe she had left without telling anybody, or she just wanted to get away. I didn't think that she was killed, just being murdered. It's just a horrible thing to hear. And then hearing and seeing the 2 boys that I knew.
Pretty rough one to murder one of your oldest friends for just a couple of $1,000 when they were all, 19 years old. I mean, even if it was 100, even if it was 1 million. What the fuck is wrong with you? Frightening story. And although Liam McAtasney kind of did a good job in kind of trying to misdirect the police into suicide or she ran away, because that's what they thought for months, he then did the stupidest thing ever by confessing it to a friend who had absolutely no involvement. And what did he think his friend? Oh, that's a cool story. I definitely am not going to tell anybody else what you just told me about how you murdered Sarah Stern. But of course, it was just an audition. I wouldn't cast them. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you, as always, real soon in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Mike out.